Question 15. The students in a class kept a record of the amount of time in minutes they spent doing homework last week. The table shows information about the amount of time the girls spent doing homework last week. So we've got the least amount of time, the range, the median, the lower quartile and the upper quartile. And on the grid we're asked to draw a box plot for the information in the table. So some of the stuff's straightforward and we can put in straight away. So for example, we've got the lower quartile, the upper quartile, the median, and the least amount of time, and we'll use the range, add the range to the least amount of time, and you'll get the maximum amount of time. So as I said, we'll start in the centre with the median. Important to look at your scale and be absolutely sure which each square represents. We've got 10 squares for 50, so each little square is going to be worth 5. So bearing that in mind, the 170 needs to be placed, but the 170 will halfway between 150 and 200 is 175, so 170 will be one square before 175, and I'll use the centre of the grid to put this in. So we're looking at a line there. Now I'm drawing this freehand, so there might be the odd mistake, but you need to use a ruler and to get it as accurate as possible. So there's the median, the upper quartile, the lower quartile rather next. We'll do the lower, that's 100. It's nice and straightforward, and the upper quartile 220. So again, the halfway point between 200 and 250 is 225, so one square before that will be 220. So I can now draw in the main part, well the box part of the box plot, and now it's just the whiskers to put on the end. We've got the least amount of time at 60, so that's 2 squares after 50, so that's going to be here, and we'll join that up. And then finally, to get the highest amount, we need to do 60 plus the range. Remember, the range is the difference between the highest and the last. 60 plus 230 is 290. So 290 will be 2 squares before 300. So 2 squares before 300. And that completes the box plot. This little bit here really should just be in the middle. So we'll just try and get that better. Not really, but again, you can draw that exactly in the middle as required. So that's the first part of the question. So in the second part of the question, we're told the box plot below shows the information about the amount of time the boys spent doing homework last week. So we've got to use both box plots to compare the amount of time the girls spent doing the homework with the amount of times the boys spent also. So the first thing we want to look at really is the medians to see on average who's doing more homework, and we can see that the boys are. So the boys are doing 190 against the girls 170. So that's a difference of 20 minutes. So I'm going to say on average the boys are doing 20 minutes more homework than the girls. And again, just to illustrate where that came from, you've got the 170 against the 190, so a difference of 20. And then if we look, you can look at the range, or you can look at the interquartile range. But what we can see is that the spread of scores, the girls' scores are more spread out than the boys. And I think we'll just refer to the range in that case as our evidence. So write that in, and you've compared the amount of time spent. So 2 mark answers, so you need to make 2 comparisons, compare your average and compare the spread of scores as I've shown you. And there's your answer.